Do you need to be the smartest cookie in the jar? In today's episode of Chronicles of a Female Engineer, I want to talk about the non-traditional skills that you don't always see on a resume. On an ad, a job ad. So if we look at the typical things that come to mind, engineers, you might say they need to be smart or at least able to follow some complex theories. They may also need to be perhaps analytical. It helps if they are good problem solvers, yes. But I want to talk about the softer skills that really round out an engineer. And without these, you may struggle to make a great career out of your engineering role. And the first one is communication, right? You need to be able to talk about what your ideas are, what calculations you've come up with, the risks that you've identified as part of your project. You need to be able sometimes to also influence people to see things your way, to see the benefits of what you have to propose. This may be verbal communication. It may be written communication. You may have to present something to more senior stakeholders. So you want to be in a position to amp up your communication skills. And there's plenty of ways to do that. Practice, practice, practice is the first one that I always think about. Put your hand up, get yourself in those uncomfortable situations, get some outside of work practice. Perhaps you want to join Toastmasters, maybe you want to do some debating clubs. And those sort of ways are good ones to increase your communication skills. You need to want to help others. I think one of the root foundations of an engineer is to help, is to not only solve problems, but to impact our society. All right. And how do you do this? Well, the first one is around being curious, right? Wonder what has happened in the past. What have we tried? And be curious about perhaps why it worked and why it didn't work. Keeping an open mind really helps you as an engineer, not only to think about things you may not have considered, but also to come up with new ideas, new innovative ways, right? Creativity, that's another important skill. And it's really about thinking maybe outside the box or looking in the box and looking at the four walls in the box and wondering, what haven't we thought about? What haven't we thought about? Now, I also like to talk about the important skill of, wait for it, enthusiasm. It really helps to be positive. It helps to be excited about your work, and it helps to collaborate. Because look, as an engineer, you barely work in isolation. You have to bring in teams of other people who are looking to implement other aspects of perhaps your project, and you have to sound out your ideas. So enthusiasm really helps and an interest in collaboration. And again, your communication skills become important here, your curiosity, the ability to remain open-minded. These are all critical skills. Now, also, you want to be in a position to ask a lot of questions, right? Ask questions. It's okay to not know everything. It's okay to want to understand deeper. It's okay to perhaps have a different perspective on someone's thoughts or someone's proposals. This is where diversity comes into the picture, and diversity yields good results. Okay, so don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to put in your proposals, and don't be afraid to think outside the box or within the box, but from a different angle. The next one is to be a team player. Now, how many of us know that often you need to share the load? You may need to, I think back to my university days, and I had a study group, a study buddy, and we used to divide the aspects of our assignments so we could share the load. And then we'd teach ourselves, like we'd learn our little part and teach the others. And then they would teach their part and we'd learn. And this really helps to come out with a better result. It helps to get to a better outcome. So being a team player is going to be critical. Okay. And I want to encourage you to think about these skills when you're next writing your resume, when you're next applying for your role, and find ways to work that into your resume, to work that into your experience, to demonstrate how you've been adaptable, to demonstrate how you've been curious, to demonstrate how you've collaborated to come to an outcome. How have you used your communication skills to achieve business objectives? How have you used your open-mindedness to innovate and create new solutions? And what is the result of that, right? So I hope you've enjoyed thinking outside of the traditional, complex, intelligent problem solver sort of box that engineers get stuck in, to understand that these softer skills become critical in the day-to-day application as an engineer.